There are more than hundreds of books dedicated to how Warren Buffett built his fortune. Many of them are wonderful. But very few pay enough attention to the very simple fact Warren Buffett's fortune isn't only due to just being a good investor, but being a good investor since he was literally a child. In early 2010, Warren Buffett's net worth was $84.5 billion. Of that, $84.2 billion was accumulated after his 50th birthday. $81.5 billion came after he qualified for Social Security in his mid-60s. Warren Buffett is a phenomenal investor, but you miss a key point if you attach all of his success to his investing acumen. The real key to his success is that he's been a phenomenal investor for 3/4 of a century. Had he started investing in his 30s and retired in his 60s, few people would have ever heard of him. Consider this. Warren Buffett began serious investing when he was 10 years old. By the time he was 30, he had a net worth of $1 million, or $9.3 million adjusted for inflation. What if he was a more normal person, spending his teens and 20s exploring the world and finding his passion, and by age 30 his net worth was, say, $25,000? And let's say he still went on to earn the extraordinary annual investment returns he's been able to generate, 22% annually, but quit investing and retired at age 60 to play golf and spend time with his grandkids. What would a rough estimate of his net worth be today? Not $84.5 billion, $11.9 million, 99.9% less than his actual net worth. Effectively, all of Warren Buffett's financial success can be tied to the financial base he built in his adolescent years and the longevity he maintained in his old age years. His skill is investing, but his secret is time. That's how compounding works. Warren Buffett is the richest investor of all time, but he's not actually the greatest, at least not when measured by average annual returns. Jim Simons, head of the hedge fund Renaissance Technologies, has compounded money at 66% annually since 1988. No one comes close to this record. As we just saw, Buffett has compounded at roughly 22% annually, a third as much. Simons' net worth in early 2010 is $21 billion. This may sound ridiculous. Given the outstanding numbers he has achieved, Simons is 75% less rich than Buffett. Why the difference if Simons is such a better investor? Because Simons did not find his investment stride until he was 50 years old. He's had less than half as many years to compound as Buffett. If James Simons had earned his 66% annual returns for the 70-year span Buffett has built his wealth, Simons would be worth 63 quintillion, 900 quadrillion, 781 trillion, 780 billion, 748 million, $160,000. These are ridiculous, impractical numbers. The point is that what seem like small changes in growth assumptions can lead to ridiculous, impractical numbers. But that's the power of compound interest. When compounding isn't intuitive, we often ignore its potential and focus on solving problems through other means. Not because we're overthinking, but because we rarely stop to consider compounding potential. None of the 100 books picking apart Buffett's success are titled, "This guy has been investing consistently for 3/4 of a century." But we know that's the key to the majority of his success. It's just hard to wrap your head around that math because it's not intuitive. There are books on economic cycles, trading strategies, and sector bets, but the most powerful and important book should be called Shut Up and Wait. It's just one page with a long-term chart of economic growth. Good investing isn't necessarily about earning the highest returns, because the highest returns tend to be one-off hits that can't be repeated. It's about earning pretty good returns that you can stick with and which can be repeated for the longest period of time. That's when compounding runs wild. Here, Warren Buffett, in his own words, provides insight into his thoughts on the power of compounding interest.
Einstein is reputed to have said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world or something like that. And it goes back to that story you probably learned when you were in grade school where somebody did something for the king and the king said, "What can I do for you?" And he said, "Well, let's take a chessboard and put one kernel of wheat on the first square and then double it on the second and double it on the third." And the king readily agreed to it. And by the time he figured out what 2 to the 64th amounted to, he was giving away the entire kingdom. So it's a pretty simple concept. But over time, it accomplishes extraordinary things.